Wardaddy, Prologue. The sun hung low behind the trees, splitting red light across the highway and painting the inside of the Pathfinder in amber hues. The hum of the tires was steady, hypnotic. John liked that sound. It drowned out everything but the moment. It's normal for someone who spent 10 years driving for a living. It was his zone. Celina sat beside him, leg drawn up slightly, tucked under her. Her phone glowed in her hand as she scrolled through the pictures from the beach. Every so often, she'd let out a small laugh. Leah burying Wakely in the sand, John pretending to flex like a superhero with a sunburned bald head. John smiled, sneaking glances between the road and his wife. After 17 years together, he didn't need to speak to know what she was thinking. Their silence was comfortable, full of love that had weathered storms, bills, and babies. Said babies, older now, who sat giggling in the back seat. He rubbed his scalp absently, the skin still warm from the day. His reflection in the windshield caught his eye. The glint of white in his beard. He frowned. Another white strand. He rubbed at it with his thumb as if that might make it disappear. "Don't you dare pluck that," Celina said without looking up. John huffed. "It's multiplying." She smirked. "So are your wrinkles. I still love you, old man." "Old man? I'm 36, thank you very much." "Uh-huh. You were 36 last year, too." He chuckled, shaking his head. "You're 35 and mean." "Mean and right," she shot back, grin curling as she turned to him. He gave her a look that was half amusement, half surrender. This was them, banter like breathing. In the back seat, Leah was counting again. 57, 58, 59. Her voice was soft, rhythmic. She pressed her forehead to the glass, watching the trees fly by. Her long brown hair tangled from the wind. She enjoyed rolling the window down. We'd tell her to pull it up, since we had the air conditioning on. 15 minutes later, she'd roll it down again, and the cycle continued. Next to her, Wakely jabbed at his leapfrog. As his father, I love my son, but my heart aches for what the future holds. Wakely is autistic, and it's far too early to tell what that means for the man he will become. But I put those thoughts at bay. They're morose, and this is vacation. There will be a season to worry, for now it is a season of joy. The toy Wakely was playing with roared, mooed, and squeaked in a jumble of animal sounds followed by the letter each animal started with. The lion is L, the cow is C, so on and so forth. John let out a deep, low growl. Wakely let out a delighted giggle, then roared back, high-pitched and joyful. Celina rolled her eyes, smiling. "My boys are feral." John laughed, and proud of it. The air inside the Pathfinder smelled faintly of sunscreen and fast food fries. The floor mats still held a dusting of sand from the beach. The seats probably hid a fry or 13. The road stretched endlessly ahead, up and down through the countryside. 2 yellow lines leading them home. Leah stopped counting. "Daddy, is it going to storm?" John glanced up. The sky looked weird. The red light had deepened, bleeding into a kind of violet shimmer that didn't belong to any normal sunset. The treetops glowed faintly neon crimson, as though brushed with electricity. "The sky's clear," he said, but his voice came out softer than he meant it to. Celina looked up from her phone. "We're not under any power lines, are we?" "Not that I—" He stopped. The radio, which had been playing the Witch Doctor song, started blasting static that had rhythm, A steady beat, like a heartbeat. The dashboard lights dimmed and flared with the rhythm. He tapped the screen. Nothing. The GPS flickered, showing their route for a heartbeat, but before dissolving into lines of exotic symbols. Leah tilted her head. "The trees look creepy, Daddy. I'm scared." She lowered down in the seat. "It's all right, honey. Everything is going to be all right." John lied. It was not going to be okay, but Leah just needed a simple reassurance. The hum beneath the tires changed pitch. Subtle, but the years of driving experience, John knew something was dead wrong. The wheel vibrated slightly in his hands, a shiver through the metal and bone. Celina's hair lifted slightly with static. John blinked, gripping the wheel tighter. He pressed the brake, and it went to the floor. He gasped. Nothing except the engine revving. He tried to reverse. Nothing still. His scalp prickled. Even his beard felt charged, the tiny white hairs catching the glow from the dashboard. Celina frowned, watching the air vent. "I can feel that, like the air's buzzing." The smell changed. Ozone? Not exactly. Something sharper, like heated metal after rain. "Dad?" Leah's voice was quieter now. Wakely giggled, pressing the leapfrog button again. It made a strange noise, half roar, half static. The radio blared just for a second, an ear-splitting burst of sound like trumpets blaring. John flinched. Celina dropped her phone. Leah and Wakely covered their ears. The sound died, leaving only a low hum that vibrated in their chests. Celina's instincts took over. "Seatbelts! Heads down!" she said, snapping hers into place. Her hand reached back, checking the kids, even as her own voice trembled. "Leah, hold your brother. Keep his head down. We're going to be all right." Celina lied. John couldn't help but smirk in that moment because he thought, "Are we bad parents for repetitively telling our children lies?" Nah, these lies are for the best. The light outside the windows brightened, not sunlight, but something else, a searing white that swallowed color. Everything became black and white. The trees elongated into streaks, the horizon bending like heat haze. The hum deepened, a living thing now. John's pulse hammered. His hands tingled where they met the wheel. The air around them shimmered like it was underwater. Celina shouted something. He couldn't hear her over the noise. The world turned liquid. Color collapsing inward, blue, gold, violet, all folding into a whirlpool of motion. The Pathfinder lifted. Weightless. Leah screamed, "Oh no, 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 no!" Wakely laughed again. Pure joy. Celina's hand clamped onto John's arm. "Oh my God! John!" Then he felt it. The gut-twisting G-force of going from a slow speed to an incalculable speed. His body flushed. He felt sick. The steering wheel spun in his hand as he tried turning. Nothing. Every instinct screamed to keep control, but there was nothing left to control. The sky had become a tunnel of light. The stars bled into long ribbons, bending around them like waves. The heartbeat of static quickened until it became a roar. The roar became a heartbeat once more, then slowly, silence. The tunnel had swallowed them with rhythm, the only judge of time. As the heartbeat slowed, he felt his body strain from the explosive acceleration, easing with the slow of the rhythm. John looked right. Celina's hair drifted in the weightless air, her eyes wide and wet. He looked back, Leah clutching her brother tight, Wakely's toy floating between them, blinking with ghostly blue light. His throat ached. Had he been screaming? Had they? No, doesn't matter. "Hold on!" he croaked. Light surged, the tunnel narrowed to the pinprick. The car burst through with a thunderclap that rattled the bones. Daylight again, but the time of day nor the light itself was the same. Twin suns burned in the sky, one pale gold, one blue-white. Below sprawled a vast countryside. Green fields dotted with unfamiliar trees, their leaves tinted silver. A river glimmered like molten glass. John realized all this in a heartbeat. They were high in the sky. The Pathfinder soared above the towering stone walls, massive, ancient, and circling, a city of slanted rooftops and winding streets, a medieval skyline under two suns. John's guts clenched. He gripped the wheel on instinct. "Seat belts!" he barked, though they already were on from earlier. Wind roared through the open cracks in the windows. Celina's voice broke through the chaos. "John! What the fuck is this? Are we in the sky?" she screamed. He didn't answer. His eyes were fixed on the field rushing up to meet them. They fell from the sky, trailing sparks of light, the red SUV twisting as gravity reclaimed them. The dashboard blinked once more, no longer numbers, but faint glowing runes, symbols that faded the moment he saw them flickering in and out of visibility. The sound of the Pathfinder falling through the sky, was what John imagined a missile would sound like before it explodes, high-pitched whistling that dropped in tone as he and his family got closer and closer to the ground. Why was he thinking of such stupid things in moments like this? The Pathfinder slammed into the grass with a grinding shriek of metal, skidding across the earth, spinning once before it came to a rest against the trunk of a massive tree with soft thunk. Its bark a dull, ashy blue. John's chest heaved. He tasted blood and adrenaline. For a long moment all he could hear was his own breathing and the soft, stunned whimper of his daughter. He turned. Celina's hand was shaking but steady. She was already reaching for the kids. They were alive. How? How was this car and his whole family not a crater? Outside, beyond the broken windshield, the light of twin suns spilled across the endless fields and the distant walls of a city unlike any he had ever seen. And in the cooling metal hush of their red Pathfinder, John realized they weren't anywhere near home. The world rang like struck by a bell. A thin, piercing tone filled John's head, drowning out everything else. His hands were still locked around the steering wheel. The skin split across his knuckles. I must have hit my knuckles or something, John thought to himself. The smell of burnt metal and wet earth filled his nose. He blinked through the haze. The windshield was cracked, streaked with dirt and grass. The hood of the Pathfinder steamed faintly. A faint reddish shimmer still crawled across the car's surface like fading electricity. His vision was blurry. He tried to wipe his eyes, and pain lanced through his forehead. He touched the side of his head. Warm, sticky blood. God. Celina stirred beside him, coughing. "John! John, are you okay?" He turned his head slowly. She was pale but alert, fumbling with her seatbelt. "I'm fine," he lied automatically. "Are you okay?" Yeah. Leah, my love?" She quickly turned in her seat to look back and check on the kids. "I'm okay," came a shaky voice from the back seat. "Wakely?" A soft giggle. "Oh, wow." John let out a shaky breath. "Seatbelts off. Easy, easy. Check your doors." Celina unbuckled and reached back, helping Leah and Wakely out of their seats. The Pathfinder creaked as they shifted. Outside, the windshield sunlight shined pale blue on the grass. The field around them rippled. Looked like normal high grass, just not green. Wonder if it has something to do with the two suns and the light they give off, being different than our own. My God, our own. We really are in another world. John pushed his door open. The hinge groaned. Warm air poured in, thick and heavy like breath of a summer after rain. He stepped out and immediately staggered, grabbing the door for balance. His legs felt rubbery, his head throbbing in rhythm with his heartbeat. The ground was soft, almost springy. The grass reached his knees, blades tipped with silver and bronze. Insects buzzed somewhere nearby, but the sound wasn't right. Higher pitched, more musical, as if the crickets could understand classical composition. Something in the distance gave a long, warbling cry like a coyote howl, yet it sounded more like a handsaw being played with a fiddle bow. Celina climbed out on her side, steadying herself against the doorframe. Her hair clung to her forehead, eyes wide as she scanned the landscape. "John, where are we?" He didn't answer. He was staring at the twin suns hanging over the horizon, one golden, one cobalt blue, casting double shadows across the field. The sight made his stomach turn with anxiety. This was bad. This was alien. This most definitely was not Earth. As he stared at the variant, Leah's small voice broke the trance. "Dad? Why are there two suns? And why is the grouse brown and gray?" He looked down at her. She was clutching her little baby doll like it was a lifeline, snot and tears still fresh on her face. Wakely stood beside her, barefoot, staring at a nearby patch of glowing wildflowers. "Oh, wow," he said softly. The world rang like a bell. John turned toward the walled city, and it was in fact a very, very large bell seen above the wall of said city. It was tolling. Why? For us? Celina frowned. "Do you hear that?" "I do," he mumbled. "It's a large bell. Look," he pointed toward the city. "Do you think it's like an emergency alarm? Maybe they're coming to give aid." The deep clanging rolled across the field. Then another. "I don't know," he said. But with each clang, his hope for a rescue or welcoming party was dying in his chest. Beyond the tall grass, faint smoke curled above the cluster of distant rooftops. The town. Above that, the peaks of what looked like a cathedral. And above those peaks was the large bronze bell. Below all that were the gates to the walled city. Figures were spilling out between the gates, small and dark against the bright field. "Stay close," he said, moving his body between the newcomers. They started toward the front of the Pathfinder, shielding their eyes. The bell sounded again, slower this time, followed by a rising wave of shouts. Celina grabbed his sleeve. "John, I don't think that's a welcoming party." He squinted. The figures were coming closer now, running, dozens of them, spears at the ready, glinting in the sunlight, and bows in the back. "What?" "Back in the car," he said quietly. Leah blinked up at him. "Daddy?" "Back in the car." "But now!" His voice cracked through the air like a whip. Leah froze, then scrambled into her seat. Celina grabbed Wakely and jumped in behind her, slamming the door. John slid into the driver's seat, blood dripping from his brow. Onto the steering wheel, he pressed the ignition switch, and the engine clicked uselessly. "Come on," he whispered. "Come on, you've got to work." Through the cracked windshield, he could see them clearly now. Men and women in rough leather uniforms shouting harsh-sounding words in a language that definitely was not English. He slammed his palm against the dashboard. "Please, you gotta work, damn you! I said work!" He tried once more, pumping the gas and slamming his thumb into the ignition. The Pathfinder answered. The red static that had clung faintly to the metal flared to life, pulsing through every seam and curve. The engine shuddered once, twice, then roared to life with a guttural growl that didn't sound quite mechanical anymore. Celina gasped. "John, they're getting closer. Go!" "Hold on!" He slammed it into drive. The Pathfinder surged forward, tearing through the grass and dirt. The first arrows hissed past the windows, one striking the roof with a metallic ping. Leah screamed. Celina ducked instinctively, covering the kids. "They're shooting at us with arrows? Seriously? What the fuck is going on right now?" "I noticed," John shouted, jerking the wheel, narrowly dodging a large rock in the field. The Pathfinder bucked across the uneven ground, catching air for a heartbeat. As it crested a small hill, the mud and grass exploded beneath the tires as they hit the ground again. The guards fell behind quickly, their voices swallowed by the roar of the engine. More arrows flew, one shattered against the rear window. Another thunked into the tailgate. "John! A deer!" "I see it!" A strange deer-like creature bounded into their path, its fur of mottled blue-gray, antlers branching like coral. John swerved hard, barely missing it. The animal leapt aside, letting out a sound like a trumpet. Wakely squealed with delight. "More! More!" "Not the time, buddy." They barreled over another rise and saw a dirt trail cutting through the grass, wide enough for the Pathfinder. John turned sharply, wheels spinning before catching traction. The car shot forward, the countryside whipping by in streaks of blue and silver. The city walls shrank behind them. Arrows fell short, the shouting long faded. Celina's voice trembled but stayed level. "Where are we going?" "No idea, love," he muttered. Leah leaned forward, eyes wide. "Daddy, where are we?" He kept his gaze on the road. "No idea, honey." The forest ahead swallowed them. Tall trees with trunks the color of ash, bronze leaves glittering faintly like scales. The sounds changed again. Distant trills, soft rustles, occasional clicks that echoed like tapping stones. They followed the winding trail for miles until it opened to a small clearing surrounded by silver pines. John slowed the Pathfinder to a crawl. Heart still hammering, he parked beneath a crooked tree, whose bark pulsed faintly with pale light. The only sound were the ragged breaths and the strange insect-like chorus drifting from the woods. Celina whispered, "John, what was that? Who were those people? And why the hell were they shooting arrows at us?" He stared through the cracked windshield. The glow along the hood was fading now, dying away with the last echoes of the chase. He leaned over the wheel as he cut off the car to reserve fuel. "Thank you," he said underneath his breath to the car. The car's red glow seemed to glow pleasingly before going out completely. He let out a breath. "Okay, I'm going crazy," he muttered as he leaned back in his seat to answer his wife. "I don't know," he said softly, "but whatever this place is," he looked down through the windshield, double shadows cast by the twin suns, "we're not on our world anymore."